What is going on, everyone? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a video going over Week 17's main slate. We have a 15-game slate, which is amazing. Only one Sunday night football game, no Monday night football, so let's get into it. It's always a fun one for Week 17 for various reasons. Players are going to be sitting this year, especially with COVID hitting and affecting a couple teams in particular. Teams that need a playoff spot, teams that are just there. They're not playing for much of anything other than either padding stats or trying to make a roster next year. So it's always difficult to be 100% confident in picks that you're doing, but we'll try it out. So Patrick Mahomes isn't playing. Lamar Jackson is $8,000. Most expensive quarterback that is going to be playing, and they're playing for a playoff spot. So at $8,000 against a terrible Cincinnati defense who has been playing pretty good. They have been. Baltimore comes in as a 14-point favorite. Right now they're at 13.5. I think it's a great spread for them too. Especially with their defense. Deshaun Watson is playing Tennessee. Watson and Tannehill are probably two of my favorite quarterbacks on the slate today, just because of how, yet again, two teams that are playing. Tennessee's in the playoffs, but the only thing they could play for is a certain spot. But even then, it's not going to affect much. Deshaun Watson in Houston, I hope is coming to play after what J.J. Watt just said last week. So, I'm going to look at that. Believe Tennessee isn't too much of a favorite today. 7-point favorite, actually. The game total's at 55, so that's good for the over. It's good for players that you're going to pick against them. We've seen both teams are comeback teams, so they play really good in the fourth quarter. Second half especially. But yeah, Deshaun Watson, Ryan Tannehill, two of my favorite quarterbacks on the slate. Josh Allen against Miami. Now, Buffalo's been on the tear, and they made the playoffs. They're getting one of the best seeds in their conference. And, I mean, you look, they pretty much run up the score a lot, and Josh Allen has been passing a lot. He's got his rushing yards back. There was a time, beginning of the season, where it didn't look like he was gonna be rushing as much, but he's starting to rush a little more. I can't really see him rushing a lot this game. I mean, he could, just because it's Josh Allen, but at the same time, they don't want him to get banged up, so them running will probably be down a little. Still a good quarterback, but I'd probably just rather go Deshaun Watson here than Josh Allen, especially Miami's defense is a little tougher. Kyler Murray against the Rams. Arizona needs to win to get in the playoffs today, so they are going to be playing hard. The only thing that comes up is injuries with Arizona. They might be without Larry Fitzgerald. They're already without Christian Kirk. They could be down Chase Edmonds. I don't know if news has come out about that yet, but he's not there for me. Aaron Rodgers against Chicago, I think, is a really good play for anybody that wants to play that, just because the Bears do have a really good defense. This is a very meaningful game for both teams. Green Bay can hold on to that first seed, and the Bears, if they win, are automatically in the playoffs. Jalen Johnson and Buster Screen are both out for Chicago, which means that Green Bay is probably going to eat again. It's just what the Bears offense is going to do, and if the Bears defense can somehow stop Aaron Rodgers, it's going to take a lot, though. Russell Wilson against San Francisco. I don't really like it as much. Russell Wilson's at a good price, but San Francisco's defense has been playing really good. And you got to remember, the defensive coordinator for San Francisco is going to have head coaching spots, or head coaching interviews, I should say, in the offseason. So he is trying to make that defense look as good as possible. And if he could stop one of the best offenses in the league here, that'll be huge. Tom Brady against Atlanta. 7,200 is a good price point. I could just see Ronald Jones being back. Them doing the rush a little more, even though Atlanta has a pretty good rush. But I think Tampa Bay unloads on Atlanta. Atlanta kind of, they should have won against Brady. They should have last time. But Tampa Bay's offense just has too many weapons. I think this is a game where we see Tampa Bay use those weapons and score what they should have scored last time against Atlanta. Justin Herbert, I'm not totally huge on, especially at 7,100 against Kansas City's pass defense. Kansas City's defense is all over the place. They usually are like Philadelphia's defense. They kind of lock it down towards the end. But I just can't play Justin Herbert, especially with Keenan Allen being out. So Ryan Tannehill, Deshaun Watson, probably two of my favorite quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins there, playing a terrible Detroit defense. I like him a lot. Phillip Rivers against Jacksonville. I also like him, 6,000. That's a really good price point for him too. Drew Brees against Carolina. I like Drew Brees against Carolina, especially at 5,900. The reason being, Carolina has got a pretty good defense, but New Orleans lost all their running backs, so they're without Michael Thomas, which is always difficult for Drew Brees. Emmanuel Sanders is going to probably get more volume than he usually does, just because, like I said, their running backs are gone. Michael Thomas is gone, so I actually do like Drew Brees at 5,900. Derek Carr against Denver, I'm not totally huge on. Just not good for fantasy points. I don't know if Matt Stafford's going to play, even if he does. It's still not a huge life for me. Kenny Galladay still out. Trubisky against Green Bay. Like I said, Bears need to win. So I think either David Montgomery's going to have a really good game or Trubisky's got to have a really good game. Either way, they have to do something offensively to keep up with Green Bay. 5,600, it's not a bad price point for how Trubisky's played since he's came back. He's had 2 games of 14, 2 games of 21. 56, it's still not bad. Andy Dalton against the Giants. I don't love that. Giants got a pretty good defense. That whole division is fighting for who's going to be in, who's going to be out. So I think the games are kind of going to be lower scoring for the most part with just how the offenses are. There's not a really dominant offense in that division right now. So I think it's mostly defensive games between all 4 teams. Cam Newton against the Jets at 5,500. I actually really like. New England's got nothing to play for. They really don't. They're already out of the playoffs. But if Cam Newton plays, or vice versa, Stidham plays, I like both of them against the Jets. Adam Gase is probably going to be fired. The Jets are a team that the players are going to play really hard because they want to make rosters next year. But still, I think New England should have this one in the bag. They're only a 3-point favorite, I believe, right now. But at 5,500, that's a great price point. Baker Mayfield against Pittsburgh, I don't like that. Cleveland is, I think, a 9-point favorite now. And Pittsburgh's got a lot of guys out. Baker could ball, but we're probably going to see Nick Chubb get his high-volume game. Teddy Bridgewater against New Orleans, I don't like it. I like his price point at 5,300. I just don't like the game script there. Tua Tagovailoa is 5,100 against Buffalo. I actually really do like that. I think that's a good price point. And with Fitzpatrick being out due to COVID, Tua will play the entire game, so he's got to finish it. We could go down the list. Chad Haney is 5,100, going to be starting. Don't like that, especially with all the weapons going to be out. Daniel Jones 5,100. I talked about that. Going to be defensive for the most part. I believe Jacksonville is going to go Glennon. It's going to go Glennon, hate the matchup. Drew Lock, 5,000 against Vegas. I do like the price point. I've talked about how undervalued Drew Lock is on DraftKings all year. Vegas is a terrible defense, but at 5,000, that guy hits you 15 points. That's kind of what you want right there. And then I don't believe we saw him priced. Yeah, John Wolford, there it is. 4,900 against Arizona. Don't like him with Cooper Kupp being out, but Arizona's defense isn't the best, so there's value there, but it's I just can't play him in cash. I can't. Derrick Henry, obviously, second most expensive running back on the slate, but my favorite running back on the slate as well at the same time. He always eats towards the end of the year. They feed him the ball. You can see he's got at least 23 carries in these games. Only had 98 yards against Green Bay, but it was a blowout game where that offense couldn't do anything. But you look against Detroit, you look against Jacksonville, and he's getting that. You don't mind Cleveland because, yet again, that was a game they had to come back on. But you look at Indianapolis against the Colts and still. But, yeah, towards the end of the season, I mean, the carries is what you look for, and that's what he gets. He's going to get a lot today as well. David Montgomery is in a good matchup here. It's just with how high-scoring Green Bay's offense is going to be, the Bears are going to have to pass the ball a lot. David Montgomery's been playing good, and they're finally doing what they need to with him. But, as I said, unless the Bears defense, and clearly Bears fan, but unless the Bears defense can hold Aaron Rodgers and that high-scoring, very versatile offense back, it's going to be Trubisky in that passing game. Nick Chubb, like I said, I like him, especially with how many starters are out for Pittsburgh's defense. 7,600. Good game script. I don't mind the Kareem Hunt always being there. Austin Eckler, I think, is in a good spot. I just don't like his price point at 7,500 against Kansas City with Keenan Allen being out. Mike Williams, Eckler, Guyton Johnson, those guys have a little more interest. Kansas City's defense is pretty good, nonetheless. Jonathan Taylor's in a fantastic spot at 7,400. He's been getting what he needs to as the running back. I think the Colts finally found what they wanted to do with him. You look at his weeks when he started the season. After that game where he had one or two fumbles, it seemed like they were going to get away from him for the most part. But he's back to what they wanted him to be at 7,400 against one of the worst defenses in the league. Jonathan Taylor is a high favorite. Aaron Jones against Chicago, don't like that at all. David Johnson at 6,800. I like David Johnson, but his price point is terrible. J.K. Dobbins at 6,700 against Cincinnati. I really like that. Like I said, they need to win. So I could see them running up the score easily just to make sure that they have a shot. Myles Gaskin, 6,500 against Buffalo. Had a great game. It's another good matchup for him. 6,500. There's just a couple options down here that I'd rather pay for than Myles Gaskin at 6,500. It's just not bad, but it's a price point. Ezekiel Elliott and DeAndre Swift are both players that I like today at 6,400, 6,300. We all know that teams run the ball a lot towards the end of the year. With, like I said, I expect it to be a low-scoring game. Ezekiel Elliott should get carries and receptions. The same thing for DeAndre Swift. If Matt Stafford's out, DeAndre Swift, I think, becomes a really huge like for me, just because we all know what Stafford does in the passing game. If he's out, DeAndre Swift will get more carries. Josh Jacobs against Denver, don't like it. Chris Carson against San Francisco, really don't like it. Madison, I like it a lot, but 6,100, it's a killer right there. Whoever's going to be in, it looks like Cam Akers is going to play. If he does, I like him. I just rather would have played Malcolm Brown at 4,300. James Conner against Cleveland, don't like it at all. Wilson against Seattle, I do like. Seattle has a pretty good rush defense, but the pass defense is terrible, and we've also seen what Jeff Wilson can do in the pass game or run game. Tony Pollard has stolen some off Zeke, but week 17, I'm not taking that risk. Ronald Jones against Atlanta. Like I said, I really like that today. Le'Veon Bell is expected to suit up but not play today, so it's going to be value with the Kansas City backups. Melvin Gordon is one of those cheaper guys that's probably in one of my favorite spots today against a terrible Las Vegas defense, and they give him the ball, especially with Phillip Lindsay being out. He's got that around 13 to 15 attempt average. You look at some of the defenses they've played too. Kansas City's defense, Carolina's defense, and even the Chargers defense, and he still put up pretty decent numbers, and he's got a very good matchup today, so I expect him to get that high yardage today. Bernard against Baltimore, don't like that at all, a really rough matchup. Kenyon Drake, if Chase Edmonds is out, I do like Kenyon Drake here. Not one of my favorites, but I do like him. Gallman against Dallas, I do not like. I like the Giants pass game more than I do Gallman here. You can go down. Hines against Jacksonville, I think is pretty good too. 4,900. I like that, especially in the pass game. Even though Jonathan Taylor should get a lot of looks, Hines is someone that always still gets in the game. He's put up at least 10 fantasy points, and he's at 4,900. I think that's very fair against one of the worst defenses in the league. Darrell Williams and Darwin Thompson, you're going to have to watch. I believe they said Darwin Thompson is supposed to get more of the workload than Williams, but you take that risk by playing one or two of the guys. If Thompson plays bad, Williams is going to get in. If Williams plays bad, Thompson's going to get the majority of the carries. Going to stay away from Atlanta's running backs today. Sony Michel, James White, 4,500, 4,600. I really like James White more than I do Sony Michel. I don't like Zach Moss or Devin Singletary. They split a lot. I'm not even going to try to say his name, but I'm just going to put him out there. He did get 14 carries for 71 yards against the Bears and did get the target. So kind of what the James Robinson did, except James Robinson gets a lot more carries. But at 4,500 for a team that we know is going to run the ball a lot, hopefully, he's a guy to target. We can go down. Darwin Thompson is right there as well. Malcolm Brown at 4,300 was going to be a play if Cam Akers was out, but Cam Akers is supposed to be in now. I believe that is it for running backs. Nope, I missed one. Can't believe I missed him, actually. There we go. Ty Johnson against New England. A lot of people don't like Ty Johnson against New England. I do, just because we know what the Jets do in the run game. He is a very versatile running back, so he can get receptions easily. Very fast running back. So 4,300, it's not a bad play there. Wide receivers, I'll just make it quick to try to speed up the video. Devontae Adams against the Bears, yes. Calvin Ridley against Tampa Bay, yes. Stephon Diggs against Miami, that's a no. DeAndre Hopkins against the Rams, that's also no. Allen Robinson against Green Bay, that's a very yes. Justin Jefferson against Detroit is a yes. Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, both yeses for me. I like Jefferson more than I do Thielen today, though. DK Metcalf against San Francisco, I do like DK Metcalf. 7,300 is a very good price point. AJ Brown is very good, very good, yes. Brandon Cooks, if you're gonna stack this game, you want to try to get Brandon Cooks in the lineup. I'm gonna stay away from Pittsburgh receivers today with Mason Rudolph being in. Chris Godwin, I actually do like. I like Chris Godwin more than I do Mike Evans. I think they're gonna give Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown a couple more targets today. Jarvis Landry, yes. Robert Woods, definitely a yes there with Cooper Kupp being out. Corey Davis is for sure yes, because of that whole matchup. Marquise Brown against Cincinnati is a yes. T.Y. Hilton is definitely yes. Amari Cooper is a yes. Tyler Lockett is a no. DJ Moore is a no. Robbie Anderson is a yes. Kiki Kute is a no. Emmanuel Sanders is definitely yes. San Antonio Brown, I expect him to get more targets. Yes. Aguilar, no. Samuel, no. CeeDee Lamb, yes. Sterling Shepard, yes. Marvin Jones Jr., if Stafford's in, yes. Jamison Crowder is a yes against New England today. Myers is a yes against the Jets. T. Higgins is a no for me. Mike Williams is a no. Gallup, a no. You go down, Robinson, Hardman, I both like them a lot today. Kevin Bourne against Seattle is definitely a yes, being the number one receiver. And Alan Lazard is a yes. Jerry Jeudy's also an option there if you want to pay down just a little bit more. And if you go down a little more, Davis, John Brown, both 3,600, both options there as well. All right, tight ends. I don't know if Kelsey's going to play. Even so, 8,600, not paying that. Darren Waller, you could play Darren Waller over Kelsey any day of the week. George Kittle against Seattle is definitely yes. Mark Andrews against Cincinnati. I think Mark Andrews is going to get a couple red zone receptions here or targets for the at least. Tanyan against the Bears is a no. Jared Cook against Carolina is a yes. Hawkinson against Minnesota if Stafford's in, yes. Gronk against Atlanta is definitely a yes. No Font against Vegas is actually yes. Gesicki against Buffalo is a yes. Irv Smith against Detroit is a yes. Johanna Smith is probably one of my favorite tight ends this week, especially in this price point. That's a yes. Austin Hooper against Pittsburgh is a no. Evan Ingram against Dallas is a yes. Hunter Hurst against Tampa Bay is a no. You could go Jimmy Graham or Cole Kmet. I think one of those tight ends is going to get a touchdown or at least a couple targets in the red zone. Jordan Atkins, I think, Fells is in, so both of those are no. Nick Keiser, we don't know who's going to do what for the Chargers, so that's definitely no. Miss Tyler Higbee here, that's a no against Arizona. Drew Sample is a no against Baltimore, and Dan Arnold is a no against the Rams. Go down here, most of these guys are either splitting the load or backups for the most part, so that'll be that for that. Defenses, you can obviously go Baltimore against Cincinnati, Colts against Jacksonville. Those are both good. We go down, Browns is probably going to be the most favorited defense today. 2,500. That's great price with a lot of Pittsburgh being out. You can go Jets against New England. I wouldn't favor it though. And then the other team that I like is Cardinals against the Rams. That would be it, guys. So I hope this helped. I know it was a long video, but definitely going to be watching all the games today. Interested to see what goes down, who has a great game, who has a terrible game, what no-name player steps up. So it's going to be great. It's a good way to end the season. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.